Welcome to Proust My Startup, the podcast that offers you a glimpse at the personalities of the people that make the local startup ecosystem in Malaysia. I'm Vanessa Muledus, aka Brand Shifu with an H on Instagram, the founder of North Branding Consulting Boutique Agency. I'm a brand strategist, 24/7 immersed by the sides of entrepreneurs, startups, and SME founders. As a brand consultant, a mentor, but also an entrepreneur program facilitator, an investment jury, and a business angel. In Proust My Startup, I want to really discover who are the people that make our local startup ecosystem. Because I'm a brand strategist, I want to understand how their personal brand might influence or shape the corporate brand of their organization. Today's episode is recorded from CloudMile's Center of Excellence in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Startups thrive on innovation, and CloudMile is here to fuel that journey. As a leading AI and cloud technology company in Asia, they help businesses drive digital transformation and growth, leveraging machine learning, big data, and cloud solutions. With a team made up of certified technical experts and a strong network of technology partners, including being one of just 40 Google Cloud Managed Services providers globally, CloudMile has supported more than 1,200 companies through consulting, technical, and managed services. I've seen it firsthand with my own mentees, tech startup founders. The Center of Excellence in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, now offers startups a collaborative space to explore generative AI, data management, security, and more, and advance their digital competitiveness with cloud and AI adoption. So if, like them, you want to experience it yourself, visit today my.cloud. And now, back to our episode. Today's guest is Jason Lowe, the CEO and co-founder at Virtualtech Frontier, a new frontier tech startup. So buckle up and let's take a deep dive. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Ooh, that has seriously changed over the years as you grow older. I think what you want in life also change, right? But I think the idea of a perfect happiness is when you can freely do what you're really passionate about without like constraints from real world matters. I think that's how I would think my perfect happiness would be as of this moment of time. Yeah.
All right. What is your greatest fear?
This has also changed a lot during the years, but I think as of now, right? My greatest fear would be at the end of the day, you just be someone very incompetent, I guess. Like people just look down on you because you're not capable. That kind of thing, I think, triggers me a lot in like also my line of work and also personally at home, right? So I think being a useless human being, I think is one of the fears that I might have in somewhere in my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. What is the trait you most deplore in yourself?
I think to a certain extent, I am quite impulsive in doing certain things without thinking things through, and that led to like a lot of actions that causes mistakes because of certain things that are not being thought through that well. Yeah, so I think the impulsiveness, as much it sounds great for certain startups, just do it first kind of attitude, right? Yeah, but I think that to a certain extent has also caused quite a number of setbacks, I think. So I think that will be one of the traits that I'm really trying to like figure out right now. I think the second thing also is that because I've started to have a lot of health problems, and to manage health problems, then you need the discipline, right? I think a lot of discipline. So I think another trait that I think I'm kind of lacking right now is very good discipline. But you need to eat healthy, you need to do exercise 3 times a week, and it just failed. Everything just gets thrown out of it because just lack of discipline. And then it also complements my impulsiveness of wanting to do fun things, I guess. So that is a balance that I think I really have to work on it.
I understand.
Yep.
Very wise. What is the trait you deplore in others?
Hmm. Hmm. I think personally, I think dishonesty is one of them. Because even when you do business or when you do collaborations or negotiations with other people, right, and you can pick up traits where they just have something very for themselves that they're hiding. And when you negotiate with people long enough, I think you can identify these kind of traits, right?
Yeah.
So I think I rather you be, even if the deal's not favorable, I rather you be transparent, tell me what's in it for you, all that kind of things, rather than just keeping it to the end and then doing some plot twist reveal to me that, oh, actually things are that way, right? So
Yeah.
I think that will be some of the things that that triggers me a lot if I do meet people and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. What is your greatest extravagance?
My greatest
Mhm.
extravagance. What does extravagance kind of mean?
Indulgence.
Sorry?
Indulgence.
Indulgence.
Yeah. Something really like
Yeah.
a
I
bit crazy.
yes. I think I like music a lot. I guess I think one of the more out of norm things that I managed to commit myself into, I think last year, was actually being part of a musical. So
Oh, nice.
I literally went to like singing training, dancing training to
Wow.
perform for a client. It was 4 shows. So I did like a four show kind of musical thing back in late 2023, I guess. And I think and that's always been on my mind.
Hold on, late 2023. You
Yeah.
were a client back then already. Nice.
Yeah, I
No,
think
yes, no, it was last year. Last year.
yeah, last year was
Ah,
I
too
think
bad, too bad.
yeah.
Are you
But
back on
it was a
show?
private show. It was a private show, so
Okay,
for a
okay.
private client. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that is one of the thing that I just like throw it out. I was like, I'm gonna go. I remember the joke my co-founder had. He was like, "Whoa, is the economy so bad that a startup CEO has to go part time in the music?" Someone else. I was like,
I get it. I get it. Okay,
yeah. So
that's good to know.
performing arts, I think, is something
Performing
that
arts,
I'm
yeah.
still like really passionate about. And I'll still
Nice.
find pockets of time to kind of be involved in. Yeah.
Nice. I can relate. I used to be in dance, so I
Oh,
can relate.
okay.
I'm
Yep.
missing
Yep.
it so badly. The stage. What is your current state of mind?
Things I think the word I'll use is intense. Like there are a lot of things going on running the company, the pushing for growth. Then you have a lot of expectations around you, trying to do bigger things, trying to do a lot of things that we've never done before, and that will lead to a lot of like you start to see pockets of inexperience, not only for myself, right, but for my team, for everyone involved around me. So juggling between all of these kind of like growth expectations and work, I think that's pretty challenging right now. So even this week, I think it's going to be a very, very crazy week. So I think the word I would use right now is very intense. I'm having a very intense mind. It's like not resting. And I think that's affecting my sleep also throughout the weekends and stuff like that.
What do you consider the most overrated virtue?
Overrated virtue. Wow. I'm not sure. It has never occurred to me
Yeah, I
to
know.
think about something
This
like
is
this
the
ever.
interest of this questionnaire,
Right,
actually. Lots of questions we never think about.
Yeah, yeah. It forces you to break down like the
Exactly.
top process of it. V- Overrated virtue.
So something maybe that everyone is after, but you feel like it's not so important.
Hmm. Hmm. I think that's a bit challenging to me. Why? Why? Because like like I went I know quite a number of like counselor friends in my circle, and I do meet them on and off just to discuss this kind of like psychological
Yes.
thought process with people. And I think for the foundation of that is always that, to each their own. Like every person has something they strive for, they chase for, something that they want to show that they are in. Then they will showcase even how some certain people look on social media, or even the most famous political leaders that everyone is just very criticizing heavily about throughout the world. I always innately believe that each person that there's a reason why certain people act that way, and when they even portray certain things, it might not even be true, because they might even do something to achieve something, and or something in the past happened to them. That's why they are what they are today, or what they believe in today is of a certain way, right? So I'm always more neutral in terms of like being very open-minded and accepting towards how certain people are. And I think it's because of that mentality, I don't really think too much of, that's just something like I absolutely cannot deal with, I guess. Yeah, so I think that's how I would think about it. Overrated virtue.
Okay.
Not too sure. Not too sure as of now.
On what occasion do you lie?
Lie.
Mm-hmm. Small or big?
On occasions where I have to make sure certain things go the way I want it to be.
Okay.
Like I have an end goal, right? And then there are certain things that has to happen in between. right? Rather than lying, I would say it's more on what they call selective truths.
Yes, yes, yes.
You
It's
just need
small or big, yeah.
the angle, selective truths to tell people
Depends how
and
you
stuff like that.
present the story,
Yes,
right?
yes, correct.
Okay. All right. What do you most dislike about your appearance?
I think nowadays, because of my unhealthiness, I've gained a lot of weight. And it's odd because I used to be really, really skinny, like 60 plus kgs, kind of like skinny. And everyone around me were always, oh man, you're too skinny, you're too skinny. But because of the pandemic and the surgery that I had and stuff like that, so I've been really quite sedentary for the past few years. And I've gained like literally 15 to 16 kgs, back on 2022 until now, it's like 15 kgs kind of difference. So then my certain parts of my body has been really obvious in terms of the weight gain, and that has been the key criticism I've gotten around my family. Because if you're just like you gain weight and nothing really happens to your health, it's still okay. But then because I just got my blood test report last week and it wasn't great, right? So the what they call it, some sort of metabolic disease where you slow down your
Yeah,
metabolism, and everything else just went up. I think that also reflects on my weight. So I think if you talk about things I'm trying to work on in trying to really change in terms of physically or appearance wise, I think would be like the weight side of things.
Which living person do you most despise? And please, no name.
Again, I think because of how I think about certain things in terms of like, ooh, how do you hate someone because someone's like that, right? And I was just thinking about this morning actually, because of someone I met uh along my travels and stuff like that. The spice is one thing because of the way they carry themselves, I guess. Okay, so this one person was really, really, really arrogant. They were, wow, it's like the way they talk. It was to a certain extent. They actually came to my office and they said like, "Oh, I want to visit your toilet first." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I thought they just want to go to the loo or something, right? To the washroom. But after they came out the washroom, like he just like insulted my company's washroom and just went like, you know, depending how I do business with, I first check the company's toilets because like the toilets dictate the standards of the company.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
wow,
That's an interesting
when
take.
I first heard it at the time, I was just like, what? And then he was like, you guys, IT tech guys are like that. All your tables have all these messy cables. So all these things, all these small things I look determines how I look at where your company is at. And at the time, I was like really taken aback. I was like, what in the I've never been judged by my toilets, right? But in
That's the
hindsight,
first, I must
yeah,
say.
that's the first time, right? Like I've also had partners who like cause financial turmoil in my past careers and stuff like that. But this is a new first. Like rather than the cheating, people usually I bet people would display things like cheating or like anger and what. This guy was just so cool looking down on you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was just so cool, he just looking down on you.
I
So
understand.
as one of the deal, nothing came out of it. But it's the way he carry all these kind of like remarks and stuff like that, right? That just like culture shocked me. He
Yes.
had so much culture shock. And then he actually hosted me back into his company back in another state. Wow, and the way he turned it around was just like crazy, man. It was as if you visited a billionaire. That kind of feeling, everything is just so extravagant, top notch, right? And I remember when it was even at a stage where we were trying to negotiate the deal, and I'm not really sure whether he even read the whole proposal. There were terms, there were some financial terms inside about how we're gonna like do these things together, right? And he just, I don't know whether he read it, but he just took it, he put aside. That time my whole management team went to visit him out of state, right? It's not even KL. Like we took the effort, went all the way to visit their company on the other side. And he just like, I don't think you guys respect me. Out of nowhere. Right? Like what? We didn't even start the negotiation. We even bought his favorite pastries to visit him because we overheard that he likes a certain kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
pastries, right? We even bought it over there. Like, I thought like, okay, this is us showing sincerity, right? No, he just took the thing, he took the agreement, put it on the side. I'm not sure he read it or not, and he was like, I don't think you respect me because you tried to negotiate with me.
All right,
And
okay.
if you like you accept and you respect, like if you really love me or whatever, I'm just gonna summarize this. You wouldn't even try to negotiate with me.
Okay.
Your goal is just you want to do business with me. Wow, that kind of anger. So the first time I felt so much psychological attacks. Like every single step was
Yeah,
whatever we were trying
yeah.
to do, it was being looked down on.
Red flags,
Yeah,
yes,
being
yes,
looked
yeah.
down, being looked down, being pressured, being looked down. Then everything he brought up was just like really extravagant, just to show that, you know what, I ate like random pastries in your office with shitty toilets and messy cables and funny t-shirts.
Mm.
Like, dude, like, where's your standards, right?
Yes, yes, I
So
understand.
he went on and on, all that kind of that. So at the end of the day, the deal, went through, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think to me that was like a masterclass in negotiation. I think about it until today, on all this.
Yeah.
Because like but of course I reflect, right? Like what happened out of that.
Sure.
I did spend some money to improve my toilets. I bought some fake plants and put it on the wall just so it has some green in it, right? So absolutely
A positive out of it.
yeah. I mean, I always think about it in two sides of coins, right? You
Sure.
always need to think it that way. Because another very similar incident where I'll always like be very like triggered about is there was this another local celebrity that wanted to offer a huge amount plus some sponsorship to get the local celebrity to do something. And I was being channeled to talk to the manager instead. And when I was replying the manager just like, so what can you offer us? So I list down whatever I wanted to offer, and the manager was just like, if this is your offer, means you didn't even do enough research to know the value of my client. Please research and talk to me again. I was like, what? Like, then I found out that people actually pay them millions.
Right.
Right. So I was just offering something in the six figures and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. But it's just that the way that you're being talked down
Yes,
on,
yes.
that was really alarming to me. I was like,
Yes.
you say no, then no lah, and then you say what you expect, man. Not just putting all this kind of psychology.
Yes, yes, yes.
But
So I would say basically the people that would be arrogant, looking down.
just
Yes,
every
the
single
kind
thing
of person who
yeah, I think that consistently triggers me
Yeah,
throughout my
yeah.
career.
So in case you are part of either that manager of celebrity or that guy that came wanting a partnership with Virtualtech Frontier, listen up because I think there is a lesson here for you too. All right. What is the quality you must like in a man?
In a man, it's like human, right?
You
You're not
would
referring
have the
to
same
males,
one.
right?
So the gender
Oh,
man.
it's
Yes,
gender?
gender.
Oh,
It's a gendered
okay.
question here.
Then it makes this a bit more straightforward.
Yes.
So for a male, I guess would be what do you call their stability. I think males are less prone to
Okay.
emotional effects, right? The EQ side. EQ side, I think males are generally more stable. They try to get stuff done without like being too emotional about it. So I think for the male side, I do notice more stronger stability and lack of like aggressive, emotional
Yeah.
skewed towards getting things done. Yep.
Okay. What is the quality you must like in a woman?
Yep. So for women, on the other hand, I think they think much more. I would believe they think much more than males. Like if you ask a male for okay, what kind of risk or problem you look at this thing's gonna happen, right? They'll maybe tell two or three. Females are prone to give triple of that list. So in terms of like risk assessment and things like that, I think that's where females will actually have that kind of extended thought processes on more things that will actually happen, I guess. So I do value that kind of responses a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
I can't think of an exact one, but I think it's along the lines of uh, I think it's along the lines of like never give up. Just do it, never give up. Giving up is for I need to look at the context of it,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think like that kind of phrases or what do you call a lot of people like to do this kind of motivational quotes
Yes, yes.
online without too much context of it. And most of the time, if I do see my peers around that really believes in that methodology, they don't understand the underlying meaning of like never give up, right? They think the idea is great, they just have to go straight away, and they do until their death. Well, whereas that like, oh, pivoting is pivoting give up and things like that. So that's when the confusion comes, right?
Understand.
So I hear that a lot in my circle. I
Yeah,
bet different industry will hear that very differently. But for me, I think the just do till you die kind of like mentality. I think it's
Something that we
overused.
would. Yeah.
Something that has to be not cannot just take it as face value.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it the one that you most overuse? So if I go to your office, last time we met, we were in the room, so I couldn't hear you saying that.
Right.
But
Right.
would
Right.
you be using this kind of sentences quite a lot? This is something you would overuse?
No, because I know it's overused around me. I don't think I've ever really used this in the office.
Okay. So is there anything that a word or sentence that you're constantly, someone could say, oh yeah, you're constantly saying this?
Or me myself.
Yes.
Um, let's just do it anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very business
Let's just
driven.
do it anyway. And that caused a lot of conflicts actually. Because the boss always also want to do, right? And they're like,
Sure.
no, what do you mean also we need to do? Yeah, I
Sure.
think for me, if you want to say people like, Jason's gonna come ask us to do it anyway.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What or who is the greatest love of your life?
Yes. I think it's very hard to not say my wife.
So many guests told me that.
How can I not say anything else? Yeah, but I think definitely family lah, right? Definitely within the family circle of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where or when were you the most happy?
I think I was the happiest when I was still studying in university, and where would be when I was in a summer program in France.
Oh, there you
Actually,
go.
yeah. There was actually a dream trip where the school paid for your trip, not only paid for your trip, they give you allowance. They give you allowance, and I was there just to study French. Right, it wasn't.
So we could turn this interview in French. This
I
is
don't
what
know.
you're saying.
Cannot. It's too long ago.
So the KPI was not good, right?
At that time, it was okay. But yeah, I think that would be one of the most carefree and happiest moments in my life so far. Yeah.
Right.
Which talent would you most like to have?
Um, I would still say maybe probably around the singing part. Yeah, or the music side of things where I wish I could like have more time to hone the skills and talent. I don't think I'm at a level where I think it's great enough yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of really owning a talent like that, I think still around the music.
If you would change one thing in yourself, what would it be?
Everything has a pros and cons. Like that's why I don't like certain things, but like it's because of those certain things that made me what I am today. So if I didn't
Sure.
have that, it's like
Sure.
that kind of conundrum, right?
Sure.
Um, can't think of any right now, actually.
Because of that explanation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
I think I was asked this very recently.
There you go. So what is the answer?
Yeah, I think one of the things that has happened that I never thought would have happened is when my current company, VTF, we got we raised money from 500 Global, Kylie Ng himself.
Yes.
Because when I just graduated, I've heard Kylie Ng giving talks about the startup ecosystem since back in 2012, 2013, all the way until like I never knew that almost 10 years later, I will be able to like receive investments from the guy who really inspired me to start the company. Like 10 years. The whole thing is like almost a decade long kind of like transition, right? So the day that we really got it, I think that was like, wow, like couldn't believe this really actually happened. So yeah, I would think manage to raise money from one of my most favorite investors around the region to be one of the achievements. Yep.
Nice one.
If you were to die and come back as a thing or a person, what would it be?
I'll still be a human.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely still want to be a human being. Yeah.
Where would you like most to live?
So I've traveled a lot, actually. Like the past 3 years combined, I think I've traveled to about 15 to 16 countries already. Great, everywhere is great and things like that. But I still get drawn back to Malaysia. So if anytime there was this answer, I think I would still always say Malaysia.
What is your most treasured possession?
It's so funny because as of now, it's like it's like this Pokemon card that I have.
No way. You are into
Because I've been
Pokemons. Okay.
I've been like heavily collecting. It's my what I call my recent impulsive hobby. But I think it started to die down a little bit already because all the newer releases coming out, I'm just I start to like whatever it, right? So I have like through various points of life collected different things, and as of this period of my life, I think I do have a few prized Pokemon card collections. Per
Okay.
se.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I going back to like the things that give me fuzzy feelings per se, right? It's after the musical ended, I actually printed a really huge picture of it. I actually frame it up. Nowadays it's not a thing to print pictures.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
go to the photo studio all the way just to
Sure.
frame. I actually did frame up a picture of me and my musical people. I look at it, and that has constantly still remind me like, oh yeah, I did that. I did
That's
that in one part
nice.
of my life. Yeah,
That's nice.
bit
Yeah.
sentimental on that front. Yeah.
What do you regard as the lowest depth of misery?
When you just don't want to leave your bed, I guess.
Mhm.
When everything's just like dark,
Yeah.
then you don't seem that you want to climb up from that darkness, right?
Yeah.
Which is something I've seen before, right? So I personally, if you're asking me what I've seen through, it's when things are just no hope, hopeless, right?
Yes. No horizon.
There's just no hope, right? I
Yeah.
think that would be the greater depths of misery that I would think it is right now. Yeah.
What is your favorite occupation?
Broadway performer.
So you are a few in that space in the ecosystem, actually.
What is your most marked characteristic?
Loud, just do it.
Back
Maybe.
to it.
Yeah. Is it Maslin? Loud, just do it. Everything also, wow, just do so many things to do. Like that. Yeah, like to Jason, I think it's always like there's just so many things to do.
So for the audience in our studio, just here, we have Maslin that is
Assisting.
assisting here today, but most likely she's part of VTF, and so yeah.
What do you value most in your friends?
I think their company, just being there when you need them. I think it's and as they say, right, when you grow older, that also goes like smaller and
Yeah.
smaller. So yeah, I think just being there for you, I think is very important at this
That's a
current
good
time.
foundation.
Yeah.
Who are your favorite writers?
Not particularly also, but if let's say I want to like really give because I wrote a book also, like in case
Really?
I don't know. Yeah. Actually
I
did
didn't
launch my
know.
own book also in the metaverse. Building the
When
that,
was
I think
that?
that's back in 2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not too sure if it's still available on bookstores. I think it should be. So I did write a book before also, right? So I was very into like literature. Like that was also my majors back in high school and stuff like that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So younger days, definitely J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter series. Huge fan. That's where you get all these fantasy ideas and stuff like that. But ironically, I've not read fiction for so long. I don't remember the last fiction book I actually read.
So
Right?
more business driven,
Everything
right?
is just like either it's business. Yeah, it's even on business, which is ironic because I just had this session recently and they were like, "Oh, what kind of leadership books have you read?" And then that's when I start as CEO, right? It was like, "Oh, how much have you grown in leadership these days?" And then when I think back, I'm like, "Hey, all those business books I read, actually not even about leadership." And I just realized that it's so two separate topics. So I'm very into leadership books nowadays. I'm reading like John Maxwell stuff to really and leadership is something funny where you think you know, but when you really read strategies about it, you're like, ooh, there's just so many things that I'm not even doing. So that's one of it. But if you ask me, clever writing, those that when I read, I felt like, wow, this is like the way they frame and the way they write the things, everything. I think, is it called Malcolm Gladwell? Have you heard of that? He wrote the book called The Tipping Point.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's Malcolm Gladwell. If I'm not wrong, please don't cancel me
Okay.
for this.
That's
But I've read
okay.
some of it. It's more on like economic strategy kind of outlook and things like that.
Okay.
So I think Malcolm Gladwell will be someone that when I read his writings about explaining economics, it was done really, really beautifully.
Okay.
And I felt a lot of deep thought when I went through it. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Should be Malcolm Gladwell, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Who is your hero of fiction?
Is it purely on books or it can be like movies and like shows?
Could be movies, could be
Yeah,
shows.
but not really. I've never. Sorry, I don't think I've ever not even Harry Potter. Man.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't
thought
think
about
that
it, but
kid
no.
is like,
Okay.
whatever, man. The kid.
Okay.
Not even Harry Potter.
So no hero you could really.
Yeah, not really. Yeah,
Okay.
not really. Never thought about it that way before. Yeah.
Which historical figure do you most identify with?
Most identify with.
Yes.
This one I think I quote Sun Tzu a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So Sun Tzu is like this Chinese strategist,
Yes,
that wrote
correct.
war strategies, and he has like, and I always thought it was a book, but when I start to like procure the materials, it's not really even a book. Like he's just
It's
these
just
phrases
sentences,
and
yes.
quotes of it,
Yeah.
and someone else will go and like decipher it and like translate it into
Yes.
certain context of it, right? So I do use a lot of his strategies actually. It might sound simple, but whenever you reread it, you're like, oh, yeah, am I doing that today or I'm not doing that today. So I do resonate with him a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Who are your heroes in real life?
I just did like an exercise on this not too long ago actually. But I think definitely my parents lah. My mom, yep, she's been until now. No, she's still there through thick and thin. Or when things are at the most bottom parts of the life, I think my parents are still there to really support me to get through to it. So yeah, I'll definitely just still say it's them.
What are your favorite names?
Names.
Mhm.
Names. Names. I have no idea, but I think Clive sounds cool. I
Clive.
have no idea.
Yes.
I sat with this stranger on the plane, so he's from Western.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it American? I don't remember. And he was like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm Jason. He's like, "I'm Clive." I'm like, "Wow, that sounds so classy." Yeah, I was like thinking, if I have a son, maybe I'm gonna name him Clive.
Clive.
I have no
That's
idea
good.
why. That became like a core memory
Yeah,
until
yeah, yeah.
that was so long ago, and but until today, I still
Funny.
remember like that guy in the plane who told me, "I'm Clive." I'm like,
What is it that you most dislike?
slow. Anything that makes things slow. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Being a
doubt.
jam, someone doing work very slow, people reply me slow, just slow.
You're a tech startup, so somehow that's
Yeah.
kind of go with it.
It's against my other not that great trait of impulsiveness.
Yeah. True.
That was the opposite of impulsiveness. Slow.
What is your greatest regret?
I kind of thought about this right recently also, right? But I think because of how I thought about like if certain things don't happen to you, there are mistakes. I believe a lot in mistakes being made, right? I regret uh like you don't even know it happens. It's not like I think most of my life it's not that I intentionally did something and that thing intentionally turned out really, really bad and it became like so regretful, shouldn't have made that decision. I read somewhere recently, there was a quote, right, that said that there are no bad decisions, just bad outcomes.
Yes.
Because whenever when we make a certain decision, at whatever state or frame of mind and resources or whatever around you at that time, you assume you did the best decision, even if you're rushing through things, right? But that's just the small amount of like capacity you can have to make a certain decision. So that quote did mention that, when you make a decision, no one intentionally makes bad decisions, right? You try to think that is the best one you did at the time, but the outcomes or the mistakes or that's when it wasn't favorable, right? So I think regrets. I've never really looked at my life that way. It's more of like, okay, we've done a lot of things like that, and outcomes of like that. So there were a lot of mistakes made.
Yes.
Mistakes learned, then you move on, and then because if you don't have all this, then you won't know what's gonna hit you when things get bigger,
True.
right?
True.
So it's something that we also have to like consciously embrace, I think, as
Sure.
of right now.
How would you like to die?
Very good question that for some reason I have an answer of, right?
That's good because your girlfriend obviously thought about some of the questions.
Yeah,
already, so-
right. Like, because I think I have a very close friend that passed away. Uh, ooh, when earlier last, it was already a year? Huh, so fast. And someone just leaves, can be a year later and you don't realize it. This is a friend from primary school all the way to high school. And then when I came to KL, he was already based in KL. So I'm from Sabah, somewhere very far. So he was already in KL doing music. He was pursuing music. So that was one of the things that made me feel, wow, this, just decided he's gonna do music and stuff like that. But he was doing all this equipment, recording gear. So I learned all my recording basics from him. That's why I could like advise on certain things just now. Yeah, so I learned it all from him and things like that. So I meet him up multiple times a year. But for some reason, in 2023, I didn't meet him the whole year. Like it was a very yearly, multiple times hangout occurrence. In 2023, I didn't even meet him at all. Because you always, I even saw this message like, oh, next year's Chinese New Year, let's go yam cha, right? Let's go have tea or something like that. And when I was looking through his social media in January of 2024, he looks great. Like he has a new girlfriend, he's doing business also, selling recording gear. Everything just looks great. I was like, wow, this guy, I must meet him soon. I realized I didn't meet him next year. A few weeks later, he passed away. No idea, like some kind of brain aneurysm. Woke up one day, cough, 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 and just gone. That was it. My age, like my age, right? And I was like, oh my god, like what? Like the girlfriend's just like a few months with him and stuff. And so still very new relationship. I know the whole family. And just like 2 years ago, his father also passed away. Right. So then now he's the eldest son of that family also passed away, which was like, oh, absolutely crazy. But what I did not expect when I went to his funeral was because he was in music, so he led choir groups throughout his uni life, and subsequently maybe he still mentored choir groups and stuff like that. So all of his like students and choristers, right? Choristers came to the funeral, and then the date. I think I was because Chinese funerals usually about 3 days. I think
Yes.
I was very fortunate the day I went. The choristers, his students all came on the day, and they just sang all of his favorite songs, Jay Chow songs. He was a huge Jay Chou fanatic, and he was the one that introduced the first Jay Chou. Sorry, Jay Chou's a Taiwanese Taiwanese celebrity, and he was the one back in primary school who kept singing Jay Chou every day. That I started like, who's this Jay Chou guy, right? Like I knew Jay Chou from this guy, and Jay Chou has been a huge influence in also how I make my music nowadays, right?
Okay.
So yeah, he was that guy, right? And throughout uni, he was still so involved in music, guided a lot of choirs, and that funeral, like all the students that he used to train and stuff like that, just came to his funeral and just sang all his favorite Jay Chou, like 15 of them
Wow.
throughout the whole hall.
Wow.
Just sang Jay Chou songs. Like with piano, right? They brought the piano, they brought the guitar. It was a funeral where it's like a musical, and you're just like,
Yeah.
wait,
yeah.
is this can we even do this culturally?
Yeah, understand.
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But definitely we know that those are his favorite songs, probably his favorite people throughout his years of growing up. And I was like, wow, like I confirm know if I suddenly die, no one's gonna sing my funeral. I was like, no one in hell is gonna come and like sing my funeral. Not even one song. It's like a whole medley of 10 songs.
Mm.
It was like all the songs that he always sang. Wow, so that really resonated like very deeply for me.
Understand.
If I'm gonna die with everyone singing, I think they'll be like, wow. I'm not even sure how that's gonna happen,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that scene itself really, really like impacted me a lot.
What is your motto?
Yes, so I learned this when I was meditating in the mountains. There was this meditation course in Kechara rainforest. So I had to go there during one of the darkest periods of my life, right? So they say, finding some enlightenment or peace, right? How do you regulate peace by yourself? So when I was like doing meditation there, I saw this quote. It wrote there, it was by Mother Teresa. Not too sure. You know how old people quotes can be just everyone just says
Sure,
it, right?
sure.
You know who is who, right? But this quote I've been practicing in my company also actually. This might be the new thing Jason talks about a lot. I don't know, right? But the quote goes with like, as unbreakable as a diamond, as unstoppable as a thunderbolt, right? So sounds like me, right? Go fast, but you don't break. Because a lot of people go fast and die, go fast and die.
Yes.
So that's something that I've been preaching a bit, hopefully not a bit too much recently. But I literally, after that, right, I just saw that thing. I was like, oh, what the... sorry. The Mother Teresa quote was another, a lengthier quote. Sorry, that one's a very lengthy quote. It's about, no matter what you do it for yourself. But the thunderbolt and the diamond one is like, it's kind of like a Vajra saying. It's like a Tibetan Buddhism kind of.
Yes.
It's so weird. It's like one side I'm looking at something Mother Teresa said, oh, this story, right? And then the other side is this Tibetan Buddhism thing that finally talks a lot about values, I guess,
Yes.
right? So I think I resonate a lot in terms of doing things. I even typed the whole quote and printed it on my office wall right now, right? Like to be as unstoppable as a thunderbolt and unbreakable as a diamond. So in times of toughness, I'll think about that and try to like embody that spirit. Yeah.
This episode is also sponsored by Hippies, and I want to thank you for supporting this show. Hippies is the go-to talent partner for scaling up startups in Malaysia and across Southeast Asia. Whether you're building your first tech team or recruiting that game-changing head of growth, Hippies gets it done. They're not your typical recruiters. They are builders themselves, backed by real industry experience and a strong regional presence in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. Hippies Tribe is fast, sharp, and human. They don't just fill roles. They help you build momentum. And if you're a candidate listening, trust me, they will help you find a role that feels right, not just one that looks good on paper. This is what I really value in Hippies. They come from the field, from the real startup ecosystem. They too know what building a startup or working in that fast-paced and demanding environment means. Like they say, Hippies is for the bold, by the bold. So check them out on hippies.com or drop them a DM on LinkedIn.
So now we are going into your business,
Right.
because still, this is Jason. We are glad to have you. You are the CEO and the co-founder of Virtualtech Frontier. But now we need to understand better what is VTF about.
Right.
So could you do the 1-minute elevator pitch of Virtualtech Frontier?
Yep. With thanks to Vanessa, the elevator pitch nowadays is so Virtualtech Frontier is a human engagement.
Like it.
Came from you. Yeah, it's a human engagement solutions company where we build technologies to bridge the gap between digital and physical interactions. So things like the metaverse, pure virtual experience beyond just a 2D website is what we focus in. We also do a lot of like physical interactions using projectors and different hardwares and things like that. So anything we do, we move towards making the engagements between humans and the company's brands even stronger and tighter.
Right. I'm glad you reused our brand strategy that we
that's
unearthed together last
the
year.
simplest way to actually explain the company, right?
True, true, true. Yeah, that's what it's made for.
Yeah.
Very good. So now we're going to take about 10 minutes to speak about VTF in a
Right.
different way.
Okay.
So because I'm a brand strategist, this is a brand way
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
of
yeah.
filtering a
Yep,
bit
okay.
the information. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, why are you on Earth for as an organization, VTF, which should resonate with the work we did last year?
Yep. So I think going back to when I was still studying, right? I was doing IT, computer science, doing programming, software and stuff like that. And when I see many seniors out there who went to internships, went to no offense again to all the tech companies out there, no offense, but in industries where it just sounds very mundane to them, boring. I'm just sitting there debugging code and bugs every day just for something like that, right? So when I was thinking about my career path, I was like, oh, if I am going to be involved with IT and tech, I'm pretty sure need to make it interesting. So that was the path that I started with my first company. We were an augmented reality technology company with my co-founders doing a lot of creative stuff, and then we were then acquired into a marketing agency, right? And the marketing agency. For marketing and advertising, it always has to be creative too, right? And we were doing technology to bring out the creativity beyond traditional media. So at the time, I was like, oh, I didn't know, like, technology can also, I didn't know marketing was a thing also. So first time exposed into it. So I was there for about 5 to 6 years. And when we came out during the pandemic, so my previous company did not make it through the pandemic. But during that time when I was jobless, clients were still coming to us, coming to me and say, hey, Jason, can you come up with solutions that is more interesting than Zoom? No offense to Zoom again. I know it's a podcast, not here to, but Zoom, great, fast, efficient ways to do calls. But we're talking about B2C companies that have to, they're so used to engaging thousands of customers, right? And you cannot have a brand engagement activity
Yes.
just through a con call.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Marketing manager speak to 1,000 B2C. It doesn't work that way, right? You need different kind of elements to really engage, interact with the brands and people. And it cannot be through their 2D website of product information also. I send to you, you read the product, finish. Social media live, right? Then people all talk about live videos. So our team was then asked to think about how do you further create engagement and creatively beyond just I talk to you, you talk to me, right? What are some of the ways to gamify the whole process? So gamification came into a lot of the practices that we do to how to make something more interesting, how to make someone complete from point A to point C. It's not just putting 3 paragraphs of uh, explanations and hope you read finish it, right? So I think from there we're like, hey, I think we can do this long term. At first I thought I'm just doing it for freelancing a bit, but I realized that the demand for this kind of technology engagement revolving around this is coming in very rapidly. And that was after that was when the metaverse came. So I started Virtualtech Frontier. Then Mark Zuckerberg went and changed Facebook to Meta as a holding company. Then the metaverse came, and then we said, hey, this is also another branch of creative tech and stuff like that. So I think this is where we are at today, right? Where we are still in the space of technology, but I think the core values that the company have, or even me myself, we would constantly try to innovate interactions and engagements to make something interesting, because we do realize that fundamentally as human beings, we strive towards needing this kind of interesting exciting engagements to do certain things, to further motivate us to do various activities and I think that's where the company is at today.
Right. Okay. So now, what people do you want to resonate with as VTF?
What people?
So which kind of audience?
So I think audiences are okay. So in creative tech, right? If you're looking at the there's this chapter called Crossing the Chasm. It's like innovation adoption life cycle, right? They call it. So you have a lot of people who are very risk heavy takers. Then you have the early adopters, the late
Yes.
adopters, and the permanently will not adopt kind of people, right? I think for us, whenever we introduce new technology and stuff like that, it always resonate more with the so-called risk takers in front, or those that always want something new. right? Because in marketing or advertising or even the creative space, everyone is always hungry for the newest things, the latest things, the more interesting way to do certain things. And these are the group of people that I think Virtualtech Frontier will actually resonate and work very well with. Because then a lot of things that we propose, they immediately know. They've seen it somewhere. The next level ones that I've met recently from Singapore even saw it even further because they attended some conference in the US and then they're coming back, they say, I want it immediately already.
Yes.
And when you talk to them about, oh, but it has not been proven yet. No. What are you talking about? I'm here to implement the latest, right? So those are the kind of angles that we usually try to resonate ourselves with. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how different are you from your competitors?
So a lot of people, when they look into our company, they might think we're an art animation game company of sorts, right? But when we dive deeper into the fact that we actually do B2B engagement for enterprise solutions and things like that, that's when things are a little bit different. And from what I know in the market right now, a lot of people want fancy art stuff to be just very artsy, or it's gamified for the purpose of being interesting only. But I think to stay to the core of a technology company, at the end of the day, everything has to contain data, right? You can't introduce. I think it's for the challenge of creatives has always been, okay. I did this advertising artwork, very cool. Sure, go viral. And then how do you track that? And then you have all this social media to actually deploy it. For our side, when we deploy our solutions per se, we also build quite a number of ways to actually track engagements, track the data of how long people spend doing certain things, how many touch points someone did certain things, and how did that actually resonate to the end goal of the entire experience, right? So the software and the technical part of things, I feel, is where some of our competitors are very strong in the art, the creative and the art side of things. While we try to blend the best of both worlds, so that anything we do is always like an experiment, right? I would say, like, for us, taking creativity into play, it's always an experiment. Is this the best interaction? Is that the best way to gamify a certain activity? Is that UX, right? How to extend beyond UX, right? So with all these disciplines in the company, I think this is what usually differentiates ourselves from all the very art focused kind of like players out there in the market.
All right, understand. Now, let us question about your organization. What do you promise to those audiences that you resonate with?
What do we promise?
Yes, what is the promise as a brand, as a company?
Yes, I think we promise that whatever we deliver for them will always be exciting and engaging, and it will not just be again something that the audiences have used too many times kind of angle. That's how we
Right.
approach the strategy always. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, latest part is about any news you would like to share with us. And also, if you can give us the URL or LinkedIn or socials where we can find VTF and yourself.
Yep. So I think for the past few years or so, we always believe that, for any startups lah, right? We are always on track to look for that kind of like mass adoption kind of like cycle. And I met with Meta not too long ago. No, we talked about where is our realm of technologies moving towards. So this is called the extended reality kind of space, right? And I think everyone's moving towards allowing our kind of technologies not to be called emerging technologies anymore, but more of like a general purpose computing kind of like route, where hopefully everyone in the world somehow or other they will engage with our solutions per se. And through that angle, I realized that the support of the government has always been very important. So one of my key strategies to promote adoption into our space of technology will be consistently working with government agencies. And because we're in Malaysia, you'll be surprised to know that Malaysia has a very strong creative and digital content economy, because we have a lot of huge software and gaming houses based here, and we are really greatly supported by MDEC and also the digital ministry. So MDEC is like the Malaysia Digital Economy Creative economy kind of like agency that promotes all these kind of solutions per se. So when the metaverse came and all of this kind of digital content came, the government actually took us really seriously. They hold a lot of these kind of discussions, panel sessions to talk, and they will then start to launch various programs to get businesses to adopt our solutions per se. So I think just a couple of days ago, we attended this digital content engagement day with the ministry, and they also announced a lot of like bigger initiatives and news to promote adoption for businesses to adopt these kind of creative technology solutions per se. And I think those are just some of the fruits of the labor they were doing to just really convince them, right? Like if you look back at like AI, for example, if the government of Malaysia that did not, like, in the news or the initiatives giving all these incentives for business to adopt AI, probably AI will not even reach the mileage we'll have to reach today also, right? So I do foresee a very similar kind of strategy to move towards this kind of mass adoption. And our efforts in, like, really having discussions with the ministry as the industry as a whole has coming to fruition. So we're expecting to see a lot of these kind of upcoming initiatives being launched more and more that will hopefully promote the adoption of some of the key solutions that we have, like the metaverse, for example. So for metaverse, we have our own metaverse platform. It's called mitoworld.io, mitowrld.io, right? So that's where people can go in and create a virtual worlds, just like Canva. We always say we're like a 3D version of the Canva,
Yes.
where everyone can freely go in. And if you're familiar with the Sims, you can actually use the solutions for that, right? So that's one of the initiatives that hopefully we can greatly propel the adoption rate moving forward. And yeah, I think that's how we look at it moving forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So where can we find VTF online and yourself?
Yes. So for me, I think I'm on all the standard social media social media networks, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Virtualtech Frontier itself is like, can check out the website Virtualtech Frontier. But Virtualtech Frontier
Dot what?
.com.
.com.
.com, yeah. However, we do have a few subsidiaries actually within the, nowadays we call it VTF Group right now. So we have virtualtechfrontier.com, and under there we have like a subsidiary focusing on a lot of physical kind of like implementations, physical type of integrations where we utilize like projectors and hologram technologies, this kind of various hardwares to showcase our solutions in events, conferences, things that really require a lot of interactivity, right? Like upcoming, we've also been working on projects with physical locations, permanent physical locations, right? So that will be lumiworks.io. So it's like lumiworks.io, where anything you want to spice up your physical location, that's when LumiWorks will come into play to think about that part of things. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. That's a wrap.
Oh, all right. Okay. Thanks.